Shreyas, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Tuhin, I'll just set context to what we're doing and how we're going to go about it. You have two cameras. Both of them are going to be rolling all the time. This is uncut. So if you fumble or if you feel that you've not answered one of the questions properly, even if you realize it 2 questions later and you want to go back and address that question, that's fine. But we're not going to cut, we're going to keep rolling because we want to present your experience at upGrad as is to the rest of the people, whoever watches this video. So let's start off with a brief introduction about yourself. Tell us who you are, what you've done till now. Basically, pre-upGrad, आपकी story क्या थी from a working professional context?
Sure. So my name is Tuhin. So originally I come from Kolkata, but been traveling all over the world. So I've actually done my bachelor's in hotel management and then moved to UK and been working with multiple hotel organizations. Came back to India in 2015, and again started with another hospitality giants in India. So through and through, I must say that, prior to upGrad, it's been always a hospitality journey. And then of course, my career sort of moved towards the technology and the product.
Got it. So what made you, before I get into the transition from hotel manager to product management, वो तो मतलब बाद में decision हुआ होगा that I need to upskill in product management. In general, how did you come across upGrad? किसी ने बोला, कहीं से सुना? Did the product management, the need for product management course come first, or did upGrad come first and then आपने देखा अच्छा इसमें product management भी है, it seems interesting. How did the क्या बोलते हैं? How did you discover upGrad, or how did you decide to upskill? What was the first point?
Okay, so well, I mean, it's a blessing in disguise, to be honest, because my wife is an alumni from upGrad.
Oh.
So she had completed one of the certifications, digital marketing, and obviously she has been hearing a lot of side talks with my colleagues and all that. I'm sort of looking at a move towards product, or maybe I'm interested towards product management, or maybe in a larger scale the technology world. And that's so when she completed her certifications, obviously she was pushing me for these certifications. Obviously it seemed to me as a joke at the beginning, obviously, but rest is history. So that's how I can say that I got introduced to upGrad.
Okay. And you mentioned that your wife overheard you tell friends ki you want to get into technology, and why specifically product management? Because there are other technology courses also and whatnot. What made you think or feel that this is the right sort of transition to make?
So to answer to this honestly, because I didn't know what a product manager does. So sometimes what happens when you are in within a ladder within your organization, at times it's difficult to ask people an honest question, right? You do see the product managers in different organizations, whether it's technology or in other domain, but actually the fact remains, a lot of people, I'm sure, or maybe they are, at least I wasn't aware much about what a product manager does. So obviously when I joined my current organization, I got introduced to a lot of product folks. That's where I started interacting with them, and then I realized that probably this is something very fascinating, because every time you talk about a certain topic, you get to hear that let's have a word with the product folks, and I think that's where the interest sort of sparkled, I would say. And then of course within my journey within this technology company, I sort of started figuring out who are these people, what they do, what are the qualifications required, and so on and so forth.
Got it. How was it transitioning? Because typically we see transitioners being a little less experienced than you are. You've put some time in an industry, probably at your experience level. This is where people typically sit back and enjoy the benefits of all the hard work that they've done over the years.
Yeah.
But इस stage पे आके then to shift fields, did you feel that you had to sort of compromise somewhere, let go of certain things, maybe even जो होता है ना एक senior professional अभी नए से start कर रहा है, we see so many movies being made out of these things. So did you find that you had to compromise or let go of certain things, physical, material, even things like your own sometimes maybe सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट, या जो एक ये रहता है कि वो मेरे से कैसे बात कर रहा है, यू नो, ऐसे कुछ हुआ था? डिड यू फाइंड इट डिफिकल्ट एज अ सीनियर प्रोफेशनल टू ट्रांजिशन फ्रॉम वन फील्ड टू द अदर?
या डेफिनेटली, सी हुआ तो था, बट एक्चुअली बहुत पहले, इफ़ आई हैव टू गो बैक, ये हट के चीज़ करना मेरा हमेशा से चीज़ में था. Like I did hotel management, and then after that I didn't join a hotel industry initially. I actually joined a finance organization, you know, so I started with finance and then I moved to hospitality. I did my master's in international management in UK. So I have been kind of doing it a lot of different stuff for sure. Now it depends how we perceive it, you know. I mean, few of my leaders, they look at it as like someone who is ready to take challenges. And some of my past leaders also commented that maybe I'm fickle-minded. So you could go either way. But to answer to your question, yeah, definitely, you know, it takes some time, you know, to sort of go back to different organization and ask question, and especially when they get to know that you are actually interested, the doors are not always easy, right? So yes, it wasn't very easy at the beginning, because when you enjoy certain parts within your current role, and you know that, you know, when you move to a new role, you don't know what's ahead of you, you know, the product manager or any designations within product organization may sound fancy, but that may not be the case always, because once you actually get to the shoe, you know what they do and what they are up to. And obviously, as you rightly mentioned, that there is always probably I never understood what is the right time for anything. But yeah, if you go by the usual way of doing things, people tend to look at moving to another genre, maybe in a 4 to 5 years kind of a experience zone.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of took the decision after 15 years.
Wow.
So yeah, it took a bit of a time to sit back and really understood that, is this something I'm doing which is right? But I did it and I'm loving it.
How did you manage, because typically we find learners have two things as concern areas. The younger you are, money becomes an issue, because typically the kind of investments that you need to make to upskill with upGrad, they're quite high. But for senior professionals, it's time, investing that much time, that is the issue. How did you manage your time being at such a senior level? Can you talk us through that and maybe give us some tips and tricks that people who are listening in on this conversation can pick up from, and maybe feel that they can also then do it, find the time to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question. And well, I mean, the financial situation for an individual can differ. You know, I mean, we shouldn't really comment on it. But in general, if I say, I think you are right, because at your early stage, like as I mentioned that, you know, I moved to UK at an early stage. You know, I paid for my tuition fees. I did a full-time master's in the UK. So those are the time, you know, I had to go to bank, you know, for a student loan. I do remember those days very well. Nowadays, usually banks call me, "Do you need a loan?" So yeah, in a sense, it's you're right, because obviously after a certain point, probably money, more than the finance or the money part, I think the time is the main factor. So because when you are in a certain ladder within your journey, I think the amount what I have paid, I think I did not think about it at all when it was conveyed to me by the upGrad team. I was actually thinking that what happens if I don't pass? And I remember my son was just 1.5 years old that time. I was like, he's prepping to go to school, and my wife told me, please ensure you pass, because It's not about the money, it's the time you are putting. So yeah, you're right. Probably the time was a biggest factor for me.
And how did you?
Bluetooth disconnected.
Okay. And how did you manage it? Like, any tips? Like, I'll give you a couple of examples, right? Somebody said that so we have this speed thing that you can do. You can watch recorded lectures at a slightly so topics that you know already or are familiar with because of your working experience and whatnot, you sort of tend to play it at 1.5 or 2. So ये एक hack हुआ on how to manage time. Somebody else said that metro में जाते जाते या train में जाते जाते वो खत्म कर लेते थे. वैसे I just want to know, a senior professional like you, what are the things that you did weekend? तो कहीं ना कहीं टाइम तो सबके पास 24 घंटा ही होता है. तो how did you manage it and what did you let go of that you used to do before you joined upGrad?
So planning तो बहुत किया था, तो हुआ कुछ भी नहीं, to be honest, because prior to begin the course, obviously I planned a lot, that this is how I would do, I had a look into the materials and the online portal, so I thought maybe perhaps I'll use my weekends, maybe late evenings and things like that. But being a professional, and especially if you work for a like a technology, you don't know when do you have to get on a call, whether with your customer or there is a need, or of course we all went through a tough time, as we know. So all our nearest and the dearest one, sometimes you had to maybe get on a call to find maybe a medicine or a bed, so we all went through that, right? So as I said, like, none of my planning worked, okay, but as you mentioned that they are speeding up the videos or watching materials on whether on mobile or iPads or whatever. I think I tried everything, okay, but once you get into the habit, and once you start to like the content, right, I don't think you are going to speed up the video, I don't think you are going to miss your lectures unless there is a fire, and yes, I did miss a couple of sessions as well, probably I didn't plan to, but it happened, your family emergency, you'll have to look into them, so all sorts of things happen. But I would say that as I mentioned that you may provide few tips, but until and unless you like the content and you get into that zone, right, you need to find your own tune, right, because I have seen a lazy day, right, I couldn't do much, although I had bit of a time to watch videos and do my assignments. And I do remember watching videos on in the airport lounge, or even at the client conversation at times, or maybe while traveling for any customer meet and all. I did all sorts of stuff. So
okay, there are other product management courses also that other people other than upGrad offer. So was the fact that your wife was already from upGrad, she'd done a course from upGrad, was that the only sort of decision maker, or did you also research ki aur kaun se hai, and then eventually chose upGrad? And if the latter is the case, then why upGrad is the?
So I have been looking for few content, I would say. I wasn't very sure at the beginning whether I would go for a full-fledged certification course or not. I was actually looking at maybe a couple of workshops, maybe a weekend in somewhere, or maybe attending few workshops, product-related interactions with. And nowadays, as you know, there are plenty of online interaction sessions with the product managers, where you can interact and share your interest and things like that. So I have been looking for a lot of contents. And there has been many. I wouldn't say that I couldn't find any. So few has only online session but no interactions. So there has been a lot of differences with those materials and the content. So yeah, definitely one fact is that I have seen because usually that when you talk about it that hey, I'm doing an online certification, people would usually say, oh, wow, it's online, so it's fine, but I have seen my wife struggling with assignments and contents, and within her domain, obviously. So I realized that there is something to it. It's not just an online course what you usually envisage, so that's obviously one of the factor. If you have an alumni within your family, that always matters. And then of course I went through the content and spoke to a couple of other folks, looked at the course material and stuff like that, and then decided to subscribe for it.
And how did your team and colleagues react when you told them? Because you mentioned a very interesting thing, that people have a certain perception towards online courses.
Yep.
Some people think कि बहुत आसान है. Some people think कि इसका कोई value नहीं है. And hence, a lot of people possibly don't even feel the confidence to say or tell people कि मैं course कर रहा हूँ, मैं online upskilling कर रहा हूँ. Did you tell your team and your colleagues, and if yes, then how did they react? What were their reactions?
See, online courses, especially in India, एक चीज़ तो है. We need to understand that. Like, even if we know that during COVID, when a lot of schools they had to go online, there has been mixed reactions. So I'm not very sure that whether we were ready actually to accept these online platforms. Even if you see, there are universities in India. Obviously, post-COVID, a lot of universities, try to ramp up their online presence and so on and so forth. But I would say maybe till today, if you generally talk about online courses, people usually have that thing that, oh, it's an online, vis-a-vis your classroom and all of that, right? Now, as I mentioned, I have a 4 years bachelor degree in hotel management. Then I have done a full year, campus masters in the UK. So I've kind of seen both. It's not like I haven't done a taught course before,
right.
and of course I've seen my wife doing the certifications. So yeah, I did discuss this with few of my colleagues and my friends and all of that. And I would say there was a mixed reaction. Some of them, of course, encouraged. Maybe they encouraged because they like me, but I could clearly figure out that they were probably laughing that, oh, maybe he's just gonna waste his time for some time, or maybe it's a midlife crisis, maybe it's just COVID, maybe it's a mental health because now you wanna do all this stuff. He's doing very well in the commercial thing. He's being praised by his customers and colleagues. Why suddenly he'll have to sort of go off track and do something different, So yeah, there has been mixed feeling. Few well-wishers, they were with me. I think not because I was doing an online course, just because they kind of like me. So they thought, okay, chalo theek hai, whatever kar raha hai, to just wish him luck, and there has been some side talks as well, which I heard as well.
Give us a couple of examples.
It's like, as I mentioned, that it's like sometimes people may not often say very clearly, but when you talk to someone, you could figure out, whether what was their reaction. To be honest, like, is it the reaction, oh wow, it's a great move, it takes a lot of effort for someone like you to take up an online course, these are the encouraging way of usually we talk to people. It wasn't the case always, it was like, okay, theek hai, whatever, Sometimes I said that, no, sorry, I can't catch up this weekend because, I have an assignment deadline on Monday. They were like, whatever, maybe he's making an excuse, he doesn't want to meet us, and it happened. And in fact, one of my very close friend, he in fact told me that, we really felt that, you are trying to, keep a distance with us, But later I had to literally sit with that person and show him what I do, and then he was fine. So yeah, so you can imagine it wasn't very encouraging at the beginning.
Yeah. No, and hopefully I'm asking you this because I'm hoping that anybody else who's also probably experiencing the same thing will know that क्या बोलते हैं, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
All you can do is do what you're doing. You mentioned that you've done a master's on campus in the UK, and after doing product management from upGrad, you're also now pursuing MBA from Deakin.
Yeah.
But that's completely online. Both masters, one you did on campus, one you're doing it online. If you were to sort of evaluate both, and I'm not comparing or I'm not trying to get an answer कि ये ज़्यादा अच्छा है या वो ज़्यादा अच्छा है, just to sort of objectively see कि इसमें ये सारा मिलता है, इसमें ये सारा मिलता है, just your thoughts on how is the experience, because you have a unique thing of doing a master's offline also and now online also.
Correct. So I would say that, you know, it may differs to individual, you know, how they sort of look at it, and what is their current where are they in fact within their journey, you know, whether they want to, you know, sort of grow within the organization, they want to move to another department and all. But if I have to comment on specifically on the on campus and the online experience, I think both are very different. Let us be honest here.
Yeah.
So initially when I moved to UK, as I said, I was 21 back then, right? मुझे लंदन जाना था, ठीक है, मुझे मास्टर्स नहीं करना था, बट घर पे कुछ बोलना तो था, मैं क्यों जा रहे हो, ऐसे तो नहीं भेजेंगे. So that was the initial motivation, right? क्योंकि when you have a London campus life, you get to see people from 200 different nations, you get the global exposure, you know, you get to meet a lot of people. So that was the main motivation. तब तो पता भी नहीं था मास्टर्स में कर क्या रहा था, right? I was studying those subjects and things like that. I hardly had maybe a couple of years of experience before that, so तो experience भी नहीं था as such. So that enjoyment was different, you know, but stress भी कम था, right? Because ना senior position थी, ना family का उतना stress था. So you could do basically whatever. You could spend hours and hours in library if you want to study, or you can go out and do party. London is for everyone, right? So I completed that back in 2010, right? And so one of my professors in the UK University, once he told me कि तुहिन कोई भी डिग्री ना 10 साल के बाद उसका कोई काम नहीं है, if you don't renew it, you know. So that kind of struck to my mind for a longest of time. And then this time, you know, of course there was a lot of speculation before I joined the product management session, but when I successfully completed it, you know, I said चलो अगर कूद गया तो फिर let's now do it. I looked at the content for this online MBA as well. It's very interesting. It's refreshing content. Definitely a lot more, I would say, updated than what I have done maybe 10-12 years back, you know. And this experience is very different because now I have a position, about 15 years of work ex, and now I can relate to a lot of topic which I did not relate back in 2010. Yeah.
We also have, because we've spoken briefly about recorded lectures ko speed pe dekhna hai whatnot, but we also have live sessions, we have small group coaching, more interactive ways of learning basically. How was your experience with these specifically?
So specific to product management certification, small group session में तो पहले मैं enroll ही नहीं किया था, you know, because I just enrolled for the live sessions. I used to finish my module, somehow finished my module on time and managed to submit my assignments. So I got a call from upGrad one day saying that, you know, are you aware of our, you know, small group coaching sessions and all of that? I said, yeah, I'm aware, but you know, honestly, I don't have time because I'm already stretching myself. So they said, why don't you just come on to one of the call and just experience this and just let us know how do you feel. So I remember, I think I joined the small group coaching session. That was the third or fourth session, and I never missed any of the session after that. I missed a couple of live lectures, but not the SGC. So again, I think it depends to individuals that what do they like most. But to me, the most enjoying part was the SGC because you had these like-minded people with the industry expert. and you can have those informal chats and discussions and some of your additional queries, and I felt you become buddies after that, so I felt that close, and I'm still connected with mostly all of them.
Great. So peer-to-peer learning जो बोलते हैं, which typically happens between batchmates and whatnot, that is what you found useful.
Yeah, through that coaching session.
Small group.
Yeah,
coaching.
small group session, because that's where you get like 10 to 12 people with a similar kind of experiences,
Right.
and so that was very enjoyable. Yeah.
Any particular faculty members, whether from the industry or from the university, any particular faculty members that you liked or found interesting, or who you felt that inse concepts clear हुए, or just generally sort of liked and connected better?
See, as I said that, initially this was very new to me, right? Because most of my, other fellow cohorts members, they had a tech background, right? And I came from hospitality, right? So initially, though I struggled, to sort of get into that zone and understand that area. So I would say in different time zone, sometimes, it's during the SGC session. Now, a lot of time I also felt that, even the other peer members also, they also helped me a lot, because I was very honest to them. So for example, if there was a group, activities, and we need to draw something, or we need to, do something electronically, and like we need to use a lot of tech items and all, I was very honest that, look, all this while I have been into commercial, so I understand what it is, but I never used it. So some of them literally taught me even how to download those and use them and all of that. So yeah, so it's no one in particular per se, but I think in different phases, I interacted with a lot of people.
Good. In terms of just the curriculum, right? We've spoken about faculty, we've spoken about how technology and services enable होते हैं, recorded lectures हो, live sessions हो. But simply the course curriculum, the actual content and material of the course, how did you find it?
So, I mean, I definitely understand that there has been a lot of thoughts and research were at the back while putting together this course. Of course, initially it was a bit overwhelming to me, because obviously, as I mentioned, that I did not have a clue that what's going to be in the end. But now I think, and after completing the certifications and now into my current role, I think I now understand the product journey much better than earlier. And now I sort of understand that why those materials or the contents were added. But having said that, I think, and I shared this feedback because within upGrad you get calls time to time to share feedbacks and how are you liking, is there any change or anything. Right. I shared this feedback as well, that this is one of the genre, product management. It's a bit new, I would say, and it needs a bit of a tweaking probably every now and then, because it's impossible to cover everything, because it's so wide, whether it's a B2C or a B2B or an industry, it differs, in every mile, right? But I think within this vast area, at least whatever, we got to experience within those 6 months, I think that was remarkable.
Got it. So, since you mentioned the little tweaks that are needed, we recently have revamped our product management program. One of the feedback that we kept getting from learners is that while I now am a certified product manager, कंपनीज से शायद उनको लग रहा था, या कंपनीज को लग रहा था कि इनको हैंड्स ऑन एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है. सो टिपिकली जो प्रोजेक्ट्स दिखाते हैं प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर्स, एंड हेंस वी रिवैम्प्ड इट, मेड इट स्लाइटली मोर हैंड्स ऑन एंड इमर्सिव. डिड यू फेस एनी सच इश्यूज कि शायद बिकॉज यू हैव नेवर डन प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट, एक्सपीरियंस एक होता है एक स्किल एक होता है ना, सो डिड यू फेस एनी बैरियर्स और एनीथिंग sort of holding you back or holding employers back, or even within the organization, colleagues, peers, just the way they perceive you, Did you feel that maybe, you know, because I don't have hands-on experience, शायद कहीं पे कुछ negatively affect किया?
I think होता तो है. I mean, see, it depends within product management, like which seniority level you are going to, right? So, for example, I was looking at few opportunities. You know, it says product manager, right? And it's very difficult at times to understand, right? But when I actually discussed those openings, I realized that they required only a couple of years of experience. And by looking at my profile itself, they were like, okay, you know, is this serious? Because it happens, right?
Yeah.
So it depends on the individuals. Like if they are maybe an initial stage of their ladder, it's easier. I don't think a company would have too much of reservations, because I think they are also confident that saying that, well, if this candidate has this much of experience, it's easier to mold that person. Perhaps someone like me, who has got about 15 years plus experience, it at times, you know, they may have that thing, and I did face that, you know, do you have hands-on experience and things like that. And I think more than that, you know, they also fear that after enjoying certain packs, you know, within his current role or so and so, whether he would be able to take it further, whether he will like it, you know, all sorts of things also comes into picture.
Got it. You also mentioned a very, like I found it very amusing, that जब आपने शायद your team, your juniors, when you told them, or your colleagues, I don't remember, somebody said कि अरे but ये तो, you know, ये तो college students के लिए, या, you know, this is for younger people. If anybody senior professional or anybody hoping to transition from one field to the other, if they were sort of to listen or see this video, what would you say to them?
See, the thing is, online courses का, as I mentioned before, एक अलग नज़रिया तो है ही यहाँ पे, तो उसका तो हम कुछ कर नहीं सकते, to be honest. But having said that, obviously, when I discuss with few of my friends or colleagues or whatever, so the initial reaction was most of them like, हाँ ठीक है, online courses and all of that, but this is more for the maybe like junior professionals, just go up the ladder and things like that. I mean, you are someone having about close to 15 years of experience, अभी आप क्या करोगे इसको लेके, because you have most of this experience anyway.
Right.
So yeah, so I heard them, you know. But again, as I say, like if you decide that this is something you want to do, right, and if you get into it and if you enjoy the content, I think it doesn't matter then which seniority level you are in, you know. थोड़ा तो time लगता है, you know, whatever you say, because you know, sometimes when you see the young tech professionals were also part of my course and they were doing few things quite rapidly. I mean, before I would even understood the topic, but the fun part was that when we moved to the commercial zone, I found them blank and that's where I was like, okay, now come to me and ask me whatever you have. So it was a fun, yeah. So
got it. And last question, actually not a question, but just a request to anybody who's watching this video, and like I said, either at a senior level जहाँ पे transition शायद ज़्यादा difficult होता है, even mentally, or anybody even if they're slightly younger, anybody looking to transition through upskilling, what would be your message to them?
See, I think even if you look at our leaders, right, I think they all are upscaling themselves, right? कुछ लोग बताते हैं, कुछ लोग नहीं बताते हैं, right? You may be doing something separately as as part of your or apart from your current role, but you don't talk about it explicitly, you know. But I am someone very open about it, right? I think it sounds cliche. It may sound cliche, but upskilling, education, or you know, इसका age थोड़ी होता है, you know. सो ये तो आप कभी भी कर सकते हो, वेन एवर यू वांट जस्ट गो फॉर इट. हाँ, थोड़ा ईगो को साइड में रखना पड़ेगा, थोड़ा ये सारे क्वेश्चन फेस करने पड़ेंगे कि मे बी अ मिड लाइफ क्राइसिस और maybe he doesn't know what is he trying to do, all sorts of things, but that's fine. But I think anyone who is interested, उससे क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है, right? You know, I have done it, you know, within all the responsibilities. I didn't left any of them, fortunately. So I think anyone, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Great. I think we are, yeah, we're done. Thank you. I've covered all my questions.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you.